Talk about Shiloh Hendricks, the woman who called a 5-year-old a racial slur. I have worked with 5-year-olds for the last 15 years. Absolutely everything they do is out of pocket. They're like little unhinged drunk people. Nothing they do makes sense. A 5-year-old is capable of rifling through somebody's bag and taking things that don't belong to them. Ask any kindergarten teacher. But I realize why so many people are wanting to defend this. Because Black fatigue is real. I think society as a whole is there. We are just so unbelievably fed up with the ghetto ratchet behavior, entitlement, the victimhood, that they want to praise this woman. But what she did is not praiseworthy. But also on the same hand, please remember that every day that us white people get on this app, we get called racial slurs. Every single day. So if you don't want to be called a racial slur, you also have to stop calling people racial slurs. She'll be watching her back for the rest of her life. Yeah, because that's not thuggery, hood-rattery, animalistic. This is why people have Black fatigue. When you act like this, it's not normal behavior. People do stupid stuff. People say stupid stuff. That's life. It's not normal to threaten to unalive people because you don't like what they're doing. We're getting sick and tired of opening up TikTok and seeing brawls on cruise ships, brawls in the airport, like literally the most ghetto behavior. We're tired. We're tired of it. But then whining and complaining and acting like it's not your fault that you act that way. Yeah, we're kind of over it.
Ooh. Anybody disagree with her? Okay. Do white people have the right to be upset of the ratchet behavior going on in the Black community? She said a lot.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, Mike, go ahead.
I'm kind of glad they're standing up for themselves. It's like they just was being weird with all the Black Lives Matter signs, saying shit that they really don't mean. I feel like everybody has a right to say and do whatever they feel like doing. And you do too. It's called free will. You can be racist, your choice. I think you should allow people to be exactly who they are so you know who you're dealing with. I think everybody just like to be lied to. They don't like reality.
Okay. So did anybody disagree with her?
I think it's more ghetto fatigue, if anything, because if it can be Black fatigue all you want, but I'm tired of all the ghetto hot mess too. So I see it mostly in the Black community. However, I see it with all skin tones. I educate my daughter personally to call people the color of wheat. We're all different shades of wheat. There's nobody that's Black. There's nobody that's white. We're all different shades. We're all human, but it's the ghetto hot mess that is. I'm tired. I am tired of it.
Yeah, I think there are the Black like.
I would agree that.
Go ahead, Galen.
Was it Miss Freckles? Her point that because the Black community is already a small community, even when you have a small portion of people that's promoting the degeneracy, the ghetto behavior, the not knowing how to conduct themselves in public spaces, it gives a whole bad reputation for the Black community in itself. So I think she's just saying like the Black community, you really don't have room to be acting ratchet, ghetto, hood. And like you don't have any common sense when people before us sacrificed a lot just to make sure that we can get an education and have jobs and have our families. The least you can do is conduct yourself like you have sense and like you've had people to fight for you before you even born. So that's that.
Yeah, but gentleness and dignity is not boiled down to just Black people though. Like let's not act like Black people are the only people fighting on cruises or the only people who have out of pocket behavior. So I don't like the term Black fatigue, but I do think that, there is a group of people who exhibit certain behaviors that could go into that category.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, hold on. I ain't never seen no white people fight on no cruise line. Maybe it's my
white people be fighting too.
They do be fighting. We just don't see it because you got Black Twitter and then you have the opposing.
But it's not a norm. It's not the norm for them.
How would we know?
Like,
Nikki, are you white? Would you know? I mean, I'm just saying, like.
Yeah. Well, I'm around white people a lot, and I'm around Black people a lot. But let me first. I want to make my point about the video. I don't think that. If I'm not mad, I get it. Like, what's your name? Nara.
Yeah, Nara.
Yes. Nara. I do agree with her. Like I was kind of like, okay, I've been seeing white people They're starting to stand up for themselves. But I don't think it's necessarily that they even think so much about us like black people think they do, that they care about the ratchetness because it's affecting us. But I think the main issue is we keep blaming them. And that's why they're starting to speak up. Because they're tired of both behavior, but the main part is we're blaming them. Black people blame the white people for every issue and everything that's going on.
No, we don't blame them for every issue that's going on, but there's definitely some things that they played a part in, but we're not saying they're the total blame for that.
But nobody says that. Like
So
the
who's
loudest voices
nobody?
don't say that. The loudest voices are not saying that.
What are they?
I'm actually, I mean, I'm actually surprised you're saying that.
What are they responsible for today that we need to blame them for?
I will say that due to a lot of things that have happened throughout history, that does bleed into society today to some extent. I don't think that some of the segregation or some of the things that went on within the Black community, I don't think all of that has completely went away. Now, are there more opportunities for Black folks to succeed? Yes. Do I think that Black people play a part in their demise sometimes? Yes. But I also think that on the flip side of that, there is some truth to there still being some bias out there. There's still being some racism out there. And I will say that maybe it's not as blatant, and maybe sometimes white folks can be unintentionally biased when it comes to certain things, or they might have unconscious thoughts that they're not intentionally trying to be a way, but maybe they just are a certain way based off of how they were raised, who they were around, some of the things that they heard, and so forth.
So,
I think they're delusional.
so you think that so you think that white people are intentionally or unintentionally or blatantly or subconsciously causing harm to Black people today?
To an extent, but everybody has bias. It's not just limited to white people. Black people have bias too.
Give me an example. Give me a real concrete example
of what being like unconsciously biased or like blatantly biased.
How are they causing harm to Black people today specifically?
Have you heard of white fragility or like white tears? When we talk about corporate America or in the workspace, right? For an example, sometimes you do have, and I've heard stories like this where when Black women have felt boxed in the workplace based off of how they identify, and a lot of that can be due to experiences or interactions that they've had with white women, or let's just say
this is new to me. So
well, let me explain. For an example, you might have a white coworker who's very passive at work, but then, for an example, if a Black woman addresses the situation, she could, now I'm intimidated, or she did X, Y, and Z, or she made me feel away. So there are some ways that maybe white folks can still be harmful. They could be biased in a way of, I gave that example before where I had somebody say, well, why can't people?
Well, hold on. I don't want you to jump over examples because I'm slow.
Okay.
So I'll be trying to catch up.
But I do believe a lot of it is.
Hold on, Jess. Let me ask my question.
Okay.
So they felt. What did they feel? What did the Black women feel in the workplace?
For an example, there have been situations where, and I've also I've felt this before, where I've had a coworker who did not identify as Black, and they were very passive in the way that they handled things that affected me. Now,
what should they have done? What should they have been more aggressive in?
Not necessarily aggressive, but if there's an issue, if there's something going on, I think there's an appropriate way to address a coworker, and there's a very passive aggressive way to do that.
Like what? Give me a real example. What happened?
I would rather not get into that on this particular platform, but I will say that I have seen that happen where
because a white woman was passive about how y'all felt that they should have handled the situation, that somehow affects.
Well, they were passive aggressive in a particular work situation that happened. So something happened at work that caused a rift between two co-workers, and the white coworker was very passive aggressive in how they handled the situation, whereas the Black woman was more direct in the situation. The white woman ended up going to higher leadership saying, hey, I feel intimidated, she's angry, she's X, Y, and Z, and gave all of these different outliers or all of these different characteristics to this Black woman who just said, hey, like, what's the issue? What's the problem? Who was very direct, but wasn't angry, didn't have all of these stereotypes that typically Black women sometimes get in corporate America working period.
So it sounds like y'all making up stuff to be offended by.
No, it's the white woman's playing the victim. It's as if the white woman.
That's a real thing.
Okay, sincerely.
It's a real thing.
Okay, hold on, wait. So is it Deja?
Yeah.
All right, what's going on, Deja?
How you doing?
So white women are playing victim, which then says that Black women are being affected by their victim mentality. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that happens. So my first opinion is not happening at large in my world. I'm not having that. But what I can say is what happened. No, hear me out.
I'm listening.
I have friends. They tell me their experiences.
Your friends gave me telephone.
Yeah,
I like it.
Office. Okay, so a Black woman's personality most of the time is, we're very direct when we speak. And white people have a way. Just white people in general, they have a way.
So hold on, wait. So let's mine this out. Let's mine this out. So y'all got an attitude problem, okay?
No.
Can I add to what both of them were saying?
Let's have this conversation. So wait. All right. So y'all got an attitude problem that y'all don't want to address. And instead of y'all being a cultural fit and adjusting to the environment that you're in, you expect for the world to adjust around you. All right, keep going.
No, I mean, it could be perceived that way, but that is not exactly.
I'm sorry, Jess. I'm sorry. You said you didn't really want to go into your example and be specific.
I'm just saying,
so give me a second. Is this? Are you exhibiting Black woman attitude right now?
I don't have an attitude. See, now I feel like you playing.
I'm just trying to understand where this aggression is coming from. Why are Black women interrupting me when I'm trying to talk to another Black woman? Go ahead, sincerely. Help me to understand. So, bad attitude, workplace, go.
Okay, so imagine this, right? Imagine a person, you and her have a regular work rapport, regular relationship, nothing bad, nothing good, just a regular work relationship, right? Mm-hmm. Then you have an incident where the white woman may feel maybe intimidated, maybe she feels like you do your job better than she does, her job, whatever the case may be. I don't want to get into, just like Jess said, a specific example, but let's just say that's the case, right? Instead of the white woman just saying that, oh, I don't like this about you. I don't like that you do your job better than me. Or I don't like, let's use your example. I don't like that your personality is the way that it is. I don't like that.
Is that what they would say? I don't like that your personality
they wait for a scenario where they can feel like, oh no, she did, and then no one cares about the situation at hand when a white woman is crying. They just care about making that person feel safe and feel comfortable in that situation. And then it can negate that the person, let's say the Black woman, didn't do anything wrong. She did nothing wrong, but the white woman is portraying it that she is.
So what happens in that? How do you then get disciplined?
Sometimes if it's the HR situation, it would be HR's discretion, but you could get wrote up. You can
nobody is writing you up for making somebody feel.
Oh, you just don't know.
Yes,
they do. Yeah.
You can say that.
I think that's
professional.
Stop. Nobody is getting written up. Nobody is getting put on a PIP. Nobody is getting written up because
yes, they are, Anton.
Maybe Anton is trying to say it shouldn't get to that point, but we're saying like people abuse their position of power and authority and will manipulate being able to do so. And I actually have an example. One that just
you got an example. So all of y'all been discriminated against in the workplace. Okay,
no, this is about me. I was
No. Let's get to Dalen.
Real quick.
Dalen, you look exceptionally well today, so I want to give you a compliment. Go ahead, Dalen.
So at my previous job, there was a Black female coworker and a white, or should we say like a Hispanic one, but it's more like
so wait a minute, wait. I'm sorry, Damon. Give me a second. So
okay.
all of these things that y'all saying is hearsay. You heard it from a person
Oh,
that heard
no.
it from a person, or your friend came. So none of you actually experienced this.
Well,
all of this stuff that y'all telling us is stuff that you heard from a person that you heard from a person, right?
Well, I could give my own example, but I like telling other people's business, not my own.
Well, no, because I'm confused. How do y'all know of all I hear is gossip?
Oh no, this could be half of this story is verifiable. I'm gonna make it brief.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so a situation occurred where the black female, the black woman was, I guess, receiving some attributes and accolades at work, and she was sharing it with someone, the white woman whom we had a mutual rapport with. And she was intimidated because certain people in our department were getting raises. We got like 3 raises in like the
How
first.
do you know she was intimidated?
Well, because we'll talk. Because I remember one day my salary came up and she figured out what it was, and she was like, "That's what y'all make." And
wait. Why would your salary come up? Why would you share your? You know that's wait. Hold on. Because for some reason y'all don't understand that I've ascended to the highest levels of corporate America.
Yes.
That is not something that you are supposed to share with your coworker. Why are you sharing unless you work in a public sector to where your salary is then being able to be looked up on the internet by everybody and people can research it? If you work in a private sector, your salary is not supposed to be shared in the first place. So how would that come up?
I agree with that. So it came about that our company was going to do market value pay increases, I guess. And this individual, for a fact, did hear it from another person in my department who was bragging because people that don't have no money, when they get some, they want to tell people. So she confirmed it with me, trying to like get the word of mouth. Is this true? Are they doing this for people in your department? So because I didn't say yes or no, people take a no answer as the answer that they're already leaning towards. So fast forward. So this other individual, they kind of bumped heads. So when she was like, "Hey, I did this and this is going on. I built this program and, I'm a mentor for this person now." And this white woman said, "So what do you want to freaking gold star or something?" And then the black woman responded, which I know she did because she was on a Zoom. She was muted, but she was like, when she unmuted, she told me, "I don't want fucking shit from you." And then that white woman went telling everybody in the office, even in other offices.
All right. So the black woman was inappropriate in her communication, and then the white woman went and told, right?
Inappropriate. I think if you are telling someone, "What do you want to freaking gold star?" Because if the black woman said that to her, then she would be deemed as aggressive. Why are you propositioning or
saying that if you want, what do you want, a gold star?
No, don't dismiss the freaking. Because if I use a word, well, she could have said freaking or fucking. I don't know. But
so now you're adding to it. Okay, let's get it.
I don't know. I think it was freaking because that's what a white woman would say, but they will drop an F-bomb too.
Putting a little bit of seasoning on it to make it a little bit more spicy.
Bottom line is you responded to a good thing that someone is trying to share in the workplace that they're doing that's conducive to.
Okay, so let me ask a question because I see you adding a little bit of seasoning.
No, let me get to the
end. Throw a little Lawry's on there. So let me ask you a question.
That's too much salt.
Let me ask you a question. Why y'all can't just shut the fuck up and do your job?
We do when we quiet. It's a problem when we talk.
Hold on.
That
was a rhetorical question because I know that's impossible. You gotta gossip. You gotta go and share. You gotta go and talk shit. You gotta do the games. Of course, you want to see somebody that looks like you inside of corporate America in order for you to feel comfortable. All of that shit, right? We know that that's a thing. Why y'all can't just go? What? No. Why y'all can't go to work, do your job, and go the fuck home?
You know why? Because if you don't go to work and you are reserved, people say that you are hard to work with, difficult to work with.
Yeah, you have attitude.
Why don't you come to the Christmas party? Hey, we're going to whatever for a happy hour. If you don't want to socialize or force yourself to be likable, then you're deemed as a person that is not going to be up for promotion, that's not going to be up for raises. You're going to be deemed as difficult or hard to work with. But if you do get personality or whatever, then you pose.
You can be nice. You can be nice and be professional and just do your job and just go home. And nobody is
That's what
going
I was
to.
gonna say. Why this can't be regular?